everybody, another 4,500 point game of the Ninth Age here with my good buddy Silas, who is running an Empire of Stonsel army against the same Orc and Goblin list that I used in my last battle report. As always, I'm going to flash up the lists and let you have a look at them, but I am going to ask you to hit that like and subscribe button if you've not done so already. Okay, quick look at Silas's list there. I don't normally comment on army lists, but this one I think is a very interesting list. It's a very cavalry-heavy army. There are no infantry troops in this list at all. And everything in the army, bar the fast cavalry, is on at least a 2-up armor save. So a very interesting list that perhaps even belongs in an ETC tournament group, maybe. Anyway, there you go. Pause here on my list, should you wish to do so. Here we are then in deployment, quickly through the lists. We'll start with Silas with a steam tank and then a unit of Griffin Knights, Reiters here, Electoral Cavalry. This has got his Wizard, it's got his Marshal, it's got his Knight Commander and one of the Prelates in it, the better armed one. So this is the big power unit really. Another unit of Reiters, another unit of Electoral Cavalry with just one Prelate in it there. Another unit of Griffin Knights here, and that's the entirety of Silas's army. On mine, we've got a Splatterer, unit of Goblin Raiders. This is a Goblin King, this one is not my general. Then a unit of Orc Boar Riders, unit of Wolf Riders. This has got my Wizard Master in it. Another Splatterer, Gargantula, Great Green Idol, big unit of Iron Orcs. My general is over here. Boar Chariot, big unit of Goblins here with my Wizard Adept in it, and a Chariot here, and a scouting unit of Raiders here. I deployed with my Goblins quite far out because I didn't want Silas running his Reiters into my 8-inch bubble and prematurely pulling out my Madgits. And I put the Chariots with them because I wanted to support this unit. I anticipated it being in combat over here perhaps because I thought Silas wouldn't want to flank me. So if you're wondering why they're out over there, that's why. Anyway, that's deployment. Here then you can see the 2 Reiter units coming up in the middle. The spiders have also advanced slightly over here as well and kind of creeping up on the side down here. So I should have mentioned we're on map number 4. We were deploying with frontline clash and the secondary objective is to secure the target. Now, Silas has declared a charge in his first turn. And he's got a 6/6 on his charge, so he's ran straight into my fast cavalry, but his Reiters are in the way, which means that only one model, which was his Wizard, interestingly, was able to make it into combat. But straight away I'm on the back foot here a little bit because my plan was to sort of chaff this unit up for at least, you know, a few rounds between my cavalry, maybe even my Boar cavalry, and sort of go after the other bit. So initial difficulty there with that unit, and then you can see his Reiters moving around in his steam tank and what have you. So yeah, he's straight onto the front foot at the end of Silas's movement 1. So in his magic phase, Silas has got off Scrying and Stars Align, both on his big Death Star unit, presumably to protect his Wizard and make sure the job got done with a limited number of attacks. And then his Reiters have done 3 wounds on the Splatterer over here. In combat, the Death Star unit beat the Raiders, but it elected not to chase them, and so they've ended up over there. The Splatterer has also been shaken, and Silas has reformed. And that's the end of his turn 1. My movement 1 here then. So the boars in the middle here are bait, obviously. What I'm looking for Silas to do is charge this unit. He will anticipate me fleeing, I think, perhaps, and I won't. I will hold, and then I'll be able to counter charge with the Iron Orcs later on, because that gap there is fractionally more than 12 inches, so any overrun is going to leave him on the board. Moving over here with the Goblin King to come and help out the Splatterer, and then a sort of a response with most of my units getting ready for a battle that's going to be fought sort of diagonally across the board, really. Sneaking up with the Raiders here and coming after the secondary objective with the big unit of Goblins over here. Yeah, that's it. That's my movement 1. My turn 1 here. Then I should have mentioned that unit of Goblin Raiders that were beaten by Silas's Death Star also ran off in my compulsory movement turn. So in the magic phase, I got a Pyroclastic Flow off on this smaller unit of Reiters here, and they all died. So that was good. And that was it. That was my turn 1. Movement 2 here then, just the 1 charge with the Reiters onto the Splatterer, trying to get the job done there, of course, before the Goblin King can pounce on them, so that's fair enough. Silas has seen the bait for what it is and has elected to sort of stay where he is and bring his other unit up in support over here, and the Steam Tank just sort of trundling along, and the Griffin Knights kind of looking to meet the threats that could move around this way. Good positioning over here, worth mentioning. Very difficult to get my Goblin Raiders into a position where they can march block without being charged by a unit of Griffin Knights in the subsequent turn. That's the end of Silas's movement 2. Okay, end of Silas's turn 2 here then. In the magic phase, he's got the stars align off on this unit here, so they'll be re-rolling hits, obviously not wanting this unit to be charged, and the Reiters have beaten the Splatterer, which broke and therefore died. And that's it. That's the end of Silas's turn 2. My movement 2 here then. 2 charges. The Gargantula has made it into this big unit here with just the Prelate in it, and the Goblin King over here has got into the Reiters as well. This is a mistake. I'd forgotten at this point that cavalry can't be stomped. Don't know what I was thinking. If I'd have remembered that, I certainly wouldn't have charged with the Gargantula, but we will see what happens there anyway. Best thing I can do with my Raiders is to put them in a position where if they are charged, then by this unit here, they're going to flee into this gap here nicely. Nice little space for them to fit in here, and then that just sort of slows these units down a bit is what I'm going for there. Yeah, that's about it really. That's the end of my movement 2. Okay, end of my turn 2 here then. I got no spells off in my magic phase. Silas had some really good dispel rolls, and I had some pretty awful spell casting attempt rolls as well. The Gargantula drew combat with this unit here. So yeah, disappointed with the performance there. The King beat the Reiters up here, but elected not to chase because only 1 model's left, so it's decimated, so it's got to roll like a 4 or something. So I decided to let that run off the board, because what I was figuring was if I get too close, then the Steam Tank can just squash him, so I want to get a good distance over here. And then if he does rally, then I can always just pounce on him in my next turn, assuming that the Steam Tank doesn't go far enough to come and kill me. So that was the end of my turn 2. Movement 3 here then. I did actually reform the spider here before taking the photograph, so that's why it appears to have changed position, and that was to just give the Steam Tank an extra inch to cover it in order to run into me, and you can see he's not managed it there, but the Reiter did fail his rally test and ran off the board, so that was good. He's charged his Knight Commander out at the Gargantula over here, and then he's come up with the rest of the unit. And obviously my Iron Orcs can't charge this unit because of the presence of the Boar Riders. So using my Boar Riders against me a little bit, potentially good play, because then when the Gargantula falls, which it inevitably will with this Knight Commander, then he'll be able to sort of get me in something of a pincer, really. No charges down here as well, just moving up with the 2 Griffin Knight units. So there you go. That's Silas's movement 3. Okay, end of Silas's turn 3 here then. And in the magic phase, he's got Fate's Judgment off on the Splatterer here, obviously realising that his general is isolated and therefore exposed to Splatterer shots. He's only managed to do 2 wounds on it though. He's also got Vullen's Blessing on, I think it was this unit, but I'm not sure. But anyway, it didn't make any difference. The General and the Knights gave the Gargantula a good spanking, but elected not to chase it when it ran, obviously not wanting to expose themselves to a potential Iron Orc charge Very silly of me to run the Gargantula into this unit. Totally forgot about the no stomping cavalry rule, hoping that it would beat the knights in one turn, but that was just stupid, really. Yeah, there you go. That's the end of Silas's turn 3. Okay, this is my photograph from the end of turn 3, and turn 3 was an interesting one. So I first of all activated my war cry. And of course you must remember that these wolf riders were not here at the time. So I activated my wolf cry and declared a charge on this unit of knights with my iron orcs, which I think needed like a swift striding 7, something like that. So Silas fled with this unit of heavy cavalry, and then I redirected and was able to reach his general. He would have to close on me, but his general wasn't safe, so his general also fled. In order to make all of this possible, I had to run the boars into this big unit here. So sacrificial boars, which is a bit of a shame because they're a scoring unit, but I've got his general and his unit of heavy cavalry on the run at least. And then I've moved up with my big unit of goblins here, and the 3 Madgets have come out. They've inflicted several wounds onto the Griffin Knight, who have then panicked and fled off the board. So good job by my Madgets. Yeah, and other than that, just sort of moving into position with 1 or 2 other units as best I can. I've positioned this gap here so that it's too wide for this Griffin cavalry unit to fit, too narrow for this unit to fit through. So if Silas wants to declare a charge here, the only one that he can make is at the big unit, and then of course I would counter charge with my general and the idol. But we'll see whether he goes for that or not. Anyway, that's the end of my movement 3. Okay, end of my turn 3 here then. So I got off a Scorching Salvo, which is not going to do a lot against this heavily armoured army, but I did do a couple of wounds on the Griffin Knight, and I didn't anticipate that it would do enough damage to make this unit narrower to fit through this gap, and it didn't, so that was fine. And then the Orc Boar Riders died, as you would expect, against this Dreadnought unit, and Silas is elected to reform here. I thought he was thinking about charging this unit here, but you'll see what he does in a moment. And that was the end of my turn 3. Silas's movement 4 here then. You can see that he's changed his mind and has decided to point the way he was originally pointing anyway. Brought the steam tank up over here and a double rally here on his general and the knight here. His general did actually need the BSB because he rolled a double 6 the first time, but he made it. So that was that. That's the end of Silas's movement 4. The end of Silas's turn 4 here then. A fairly uneventful turn 4 for him as well, really. He got Fate's Judgment off in the magic phase, did 2 wounds to the Splatterer, and then he got the Stars Align off on the cannon, and that was enough with his cannon shot to finish off the Splatterer. So that was the only casualty in turn 4. Okay, on to my movement 4 here then. You can see there have been 2 charges, both on the flank of this unit of Griffin Knights. I think it was a mistake by Silas to expose the flank to these 2 models. I mean, yeah, okay, they're only single model units, but this one's got a 1-up armor save and is sporting a lance, and this one is resilience 6 and has D3 impact hits and 3 strength 6 attacks of its own. So yeah, risky move, but that's what he gets for it. So a double flank charge there. That's the only charge, but obviously using the chaff here to prevent this unit from coming and supporting over here. Long charge on for the general if he does try, and chaffing up both the tank and the dreadnought unit with with the wolves up here. Yeah, that's it really. I should also mention one of the Madgets ran into another Madget and therefore died. If you know that, we weren't sure whether one or both die, but the way we read the rules was that one dies because it takes the impact hits before it moves. If we've done that wrong, do please let us know. That's the end of my movement 4. End of my turn 4 here then, and turn 4 was absolutely bonkers. So I got Cleansing Fire off on my general, and I got Smite the Unbeliever off on the Griffin Knights. I've got to take out this unit. It's really important because I'm not going to be able to put a dent in these unless the Iron Orcs manage it. That's my only shot over here. So I'm looking for these points. So my Great Green Idol did 1 impact hit, which didn't wound. My king with his lance missed 3 out of 4 attacks, hitting on 3s. And then Silas saved the 1 attack that did actually cause a wound on a 5. The Huntsman Spider missed 3 out of 3 attacks. The Breath Weapon did minimum strength and did no wounds. And the Great Green Idol, to be fair, was the only thing that did okay. It did 2 wounds on the Griffin Knights. Now, the Griffin Knights did nothing back. In the end, they lost combat by 7. So they need a double 1. So Silas, therefore, naturally rolls a double 1. So that was the end of my turn 4, in which those knights should have absolutely broken and just ridiculously didn't. Yeah, there you go. My turn 4. Okay, Silas's movement 5 here then. So his unit of electrical cavalry here of charging the chaff, getting rid of those, that makes sense, although it's a bit late in the day to be charging chaff. Likewise up here as well, the steam tank going after the wolves. Running his wizard out of this unit because there's nothing left really on the board that can shoot. I can try and breath weapon him with my wizard, but that's about it. And bringing the knight commander back into the unit, obviously anticipating a fight with the Iron Orcs over there. And that is the end of Silas's movement 5. Okay, end of Silas's turn 5 here then. So Silas has cast the Stars Align on this unit here, which I saw as for the decoy that it was, because of course this unit already have hatred, so the Stars Align doesn't really do anything for them. So I saved all my dice for the subsequent spells, which were not got through. So yeah, one spell there. There was no shooting. The raiders broke against this big unit of cavalry here, but Silas elected not to chase. I'm not sure why, to be honest. I think I might have done. Anyway, he didn't. He chose to reform, so that's where they are. The goblins held against the tank because the tank's grinds were pathetic. Like the number was like 111 or something silly like that. So the goblins actually ended up being steadfast, which was ridiculous. But the tank, what he's done here is really clever. He's reformed the tank. So that the number of Iron Orcs that can get in against this unit, if they should charge, is significantly diminished. So I actually think that's really good play. I couldn't find anything that said it was illegal. It doesn't feel right to move from being front-facing to allowing a unit on your flank, but I couldn't find anything that said that couldn't be done. If you know otherwise, then do please let us know. And then down here, the Idol and the King finally broke and caught the Griffin Knights, so better late than never down there. And that's the end of Silas's turn 5. Okay, my movement 5 here then, real moment of truth in the game. Charge with the Iron Orcs. They have got in, but they're only 3 models wide are able to be in, so can they inflict enough damage on this unit to break it? Other than that, the Raiders have rallied. Chariots moving into as good a position as possible, and then the spider had actually gotten out of the way, just in case the tank decides to come after him later. That's the end of my movement 5. End of my turn 5 here then. So in the magic phase, I've got Smite the Unbeliever off on this big Dreadnought unit, and I've won combat by 4 points, but Silas has held. On a discipline 5 with a BSB, he had a 48% chance of making that. So that's probably the game there, because obviously now the steam tank, having finished off the wolves, will be able to come and support that unit and do a bunch of grind attacks on my Iron Orcs. So yeah, that was quite frustrating really. The tank also obviously killed the wolves, and that was the end of my turn 5. Silas is movement 6 here then, so obviously just the tank into the side of the Iron Orcs, and he's moved his cavalry unit here, rejoined by the wizard, because he's obviously anticipating the Iron Orcs breaking from combat and fleeing, and he wants to inflict dangerous terrains in case if he's not able to catch the unit, then he'll want to decimate it, so that's why they're there. And that's the end of Silas's movement 6. In Silas's turn 6, the Iron Orcs were caught by the cavalry there, who of course bounced off their friendly units. I was, though, able to take the Marshal with me. I think this is, without doubt, the massive point of the game, because having won combat by 7, there was a 52% chance that Silas's unit would break, and then if it did, of course, I can chase them, and if I catch them, they're dead, and if I don't catch them, I'm still probably not going to be hit by the tank. Well, certainly not the tank and the knights at the same time. So that was the hinge moment of the game for sure. But yeah, as I say, at least I got the Marshal in the process, so that's about 400 points anyway. That's the end of Silas's turn 6. Okay, my movement 6 then, and what all I'm doing here in movement 6 is making an attempt to take out Silas's wizard master here by running a chariot into this unit. It's a calculated risk, and I think it's worth the gamble. I've nothing else really that can put a dent anywhere else in his army, so yeah, that's it. That's the end of my movement 6. My turn 6. So those of you that with a keen eye will have noticed that the witch doctor over here had actually run out to sort of over here-ish. The purpose being to give cleansing fire to the chariot, which he did, but he miscast. He rolled a 666 on 3 dice. Well done him. And of course he's on thaumaturgy, so he's at +1, so he's at 777, so he just dies. But the wizard master did also bring the pain off on this unit, so I've got re-rolls to hit on my wounds here, as well as the cleansing fire breath weapon. I inflicted 2 wounds on the wizard. I put all of my attacks on the wizard. I'm hitting him on 4s with re-rolls, and then wounding him on 2s with AP 4 off the lances on the chariot, and AP 2 off the boars. He made it. It's just absolutely astonishing, really, considering the number of hits that he took. The boars actually did 2 wounds to him, but he took 1 wound off the lances, and he had a 6-up save, and he rolled it on a 6. So he should be dead, really, but he's not. So yeah, that was it. That was the end of the game. So Silas inflicted 2,085 points. I inflicted 1,610 points. That's 475 points in Silas's favour. We both have 1 secondary objective, so those are split. So the game would end 12-8 in Silas's favour. Couple of points of reflection here. I think that this was always going to be a difficult game for my army, because I don't have that much armour penetration in this list, and this is a very heavily armoured army list, so it was always going to be difficult. I was hoping for a draw or maybe a moderate victory. I threw away my Gargantula, and that was totally silly, and that was 510 points, so there's your draw straight away. I didn't need to do that. But I do want to make mention that Silas's play with his tank, reforming his tank, was really clever, because had he not done that, the Iron Orcs would have done a lot more damage to his electoral cavalry unit, who would have definitely broken, because they didn't, well, I say definitely, he would have needed a double 1. So that was massive, and he deserves credit for that. I also wasted one of my chariots deploying it over here, but I did get an attempt on this wizard at the end of the game. I do feel slightly aggrieved in this 12-8 though, because you might have noticed, those of you with a sort of sharp ear might have noticed that the splatterer never did any wounds, and that's because it hit the general several times. And between the Iron Orcs and the Gargantula, and the Splatterer, Silas's general has made 6 out of 8 successful 5-up Aegis saves. I don't think that's a fair reflection of efforts towards his general, and his general would have brought me an extra 585 points. And then there is the Wizard as well, who is rocking on 1 wound and had a 6-up save and made it, and that's 545 points. So this could have been 1125 points the other way quite easily. So I'm not overly unhappy with the way that I played this game. I think my only real mistake was throwing away the Gargantula, but at the end of the day, the dice went against me when it came to breaking this unit. But well played for Silas with his steam tank. That made it all possible, and you do need a bit of luck in the 9th age. So that's how it is, and that was the end of the game. Thank you for joining me, everybody, and I will see you next time.